It is the morning of my 35th birthday. Can y'all believe that? My 35th birthday. Like, where has the time gone? Where has the time gone? I am excited because I feel like this year is going to be an amazing year. I feel like I have spent the last 5 years really getting to know who Destiny was. And even more recently, I needed to take a step back and reset to figure out who I am in this particular season, what it is that I want out of life, getting back in contact with like God, but we talk to God all the time. We're studying the word and all the things. But sometimes you got to be even more intentional about really sitting with Him to see what it is that He has for you. And so I was able to do that. And to be honest, I was actually having a moment of burnout. And we are going to talk about that while I get ready for my day. So, like I said, it's my birthday. I am spending the day with my amazing husband. We've been married for 12 years, and all I really wanted was a day where I didn't have to think about anything work, business, my responsibilities, the whole nine. So we're going to be hanging out for the day and kind of winging it, kind of planning things. Like we've talked about different things that we wanted to do, but I don't know 100% like what we have settled on. And I'm okay with that. So I am getting ready for that. But this comes at a perfect time because I was definitely feeling burnt out from doing all the things. I know we oftentimes talk about feeling burnt out like if you're doing something wrong or you are stepping out of God's will, or you have too much on your plate. And while those things sometimes are true, in this particular instance, there were moments where I had to, be honest with people, um, establish more boundaries, accept the fact that I was created to be creative. I was created to have this massive vision and dream for my life that nobody can take away because it is a God given vision, right? So I had to really sit and evaluate all those things. And when I was thinking about it and praying about it, I was like, okay, I have to come back to reality at some point. I took about 3 weeks off. And I'm like, I have to come back. I have to be on socials and show my face because I'm running a business, right? As a mom coach, I am kind of expected to show up, right? But I didn't really want to do all the content planning and things like that. So I was like, well, I actually need to reset. So what I'm going to do as my content for the month of May is I'm going to do a challenge for myself. Every day I'm going to show up and do something for myself, remind myself of a lesson that I've already learned, or just, find things that pour back into me. And the more I thought about it, the more I realized this is not just a me thing. This is something that a lot of moms need and a lot of moms are actually dealing with. So, hold on. Multitasking is not as easy as it looks. So the more I thought about it, the more I was like, I think I need to make this a open, invitation so that the moms that know that they're being called to more than motherhood are also encouraged to not only follow the dreams that God has given them, but can do it with somebody else. So, hey, so that's what the reset challenge is. It is a 31-day challenge where we are going to keep showing up and keep resetting, establishing why are we doing the things that we're doing? What is it that we actually want out of life? Today, the prompt specifically is to write down one word that describes how you want to show up this year and then sit with it. Imagine what that version of you is like. Like, is she prompt to things? Is she a diva? Is she not? Is she um, what is she like? What does she do? What does she not like? What kind of mother is she? What kind of wife is she? These are all the questions that I've had to ask myself during this period of my personal break. So that is what we're doing for this 31-day reset challenge. The entire month of May, we are getting back in touch with ourselves. And I'm excited because we often get caught up in motherhood and all the things and everybody else's demands and our responsibilities, and it becomes exhausting sometimes. But instead of us admitting that, we just keep pushing and pushing and pushing, and then we are like stuck in survival mode. And that is not what I want for any of us. It's not what I believe that God has for any of us. So we're going to work towards it together. So while I'm getting ready, I will actually answer the prompt for myself. Again, it was for day two, that is, to write down one word that describes how you want to show up this year. And then imagine that version of you. So, real quick before I give my answer, if you want to join us for this challenge, you can find the link on my account or my page for this. Um, it's very easy. I don't think I can comment it here, but I'll, once I post a replay, also put it in the comments. But for me, my answer, my word would be bold. That has been my word since January. I don't always have a word for the year or anything like that, but this is a word that kept coming up for me. So I was like, okay, I'm going to be intentionally bold this year. And that looks like, me, I'm like struggling to find the brush that I need. That's why I'm a little distracted. But this apparently is my life now, multitasking of getting ready on camera, and talking to you guys about what's going on in my life. So you may see me use things that I should not probably use technically as a trained makeup artist, but guess what? I gotta get stuff done. I gotta get out of here. Okay. My word is bold because I believe that me sitting in fear of, the dreams and the visions that I have, afraid of what people may think, um, they're no longer options. I have to show up boldly as the woman that God has created me to be. And not only that, so that my children can see what it means to be bold. Oftentimes, as moms, we are teaching them the right way. We're teaching them to be confident and to follow their dreams and to be obedient to what God is telling them. And then we go and we do the opposite because of fear of imposter syndrome, because we are uncomfortable. There's a whole list that I could go down. But as long as I have anything to do with it in my assignment, we are no longer operating like that. So we are showing up boldly. The bold version of this looks like doing things like this, going on live on YouTube for the first time, outside of my normal podcast schedule, doing my makeup, knowing that I don't have all the stuff that I need right now. Um, and having this impromptu conversation with you guys the morning of my birthday. That is like the simplest version of bold that I could do, right? But it also looks like going after those dreams. It looks like if there is a client that I desire or a collaboration that I desire, not talking myself out of it because I feel like I need to do a whole lot more to prove myself. It looks like sending that email. It looks like being confident in the fact that I'm homeschooling my children and doing it in a way that I feel is best for the way that our family operates. All of these things are operating in boldness, establishing what it is that I want out of life. For example, it could be something as small as, do I want to do laundry? No, I don't. I don't necessarily like doing the laundry. So my life should be, or the steps that I take for my life should be built in a way that eventually I don't have to do that. Not just hating it for the rest of my life, but actually coming up with a solution for not having to do the things that I don't desire to do within reason. Because, we are, of course, at the end of the day, always obedient to what God is telling us. That is the only thing that we should feel like we are required to do is obey God. Not obey people, not obey society, but obey God. Um, yeah. So the reset challenge is exactly that. Every single day for the rest of the month, we are coming together. We are having moments. We are writing things down. We are establishing what our life will look like if we are intentional about it, and we are tapping back into what our desires are, what our passion is. In addition to us being moms, being wives, career women, um, entrepreneurs, whatever your titles and responsibilities are, there's still a part of you that you may not fully be walking in. And if that's you, that's what this challenge is for. So, again, I will put the website in the comments for this replay in the description. Um, I'm trying to like hurry up so that you guys can see the finished product. And I don't have much else to say. So if you guys are on here and you have questions about the reset challenge, questions about what I want my year to look like, I guess we can talk about that real quick. I am excited to be turning 35 for a plethora of reasons. It's not just a number to me. Like I said in the beginning of this, I was definitely having a moment of questioning a lot of things, um, doubts, if I'm being honest, wondering like when God and all the promises that He has promised is going to show up in a couple of areas of my life. And it wasn't looking too pretty, but I do know that quitting is not an option. I plan to do everything that God is requiring of me in any season. But that doesn't negate the fact that it gets difficult sometimes. So 35 for me is like a reset. If you don't know my story or the story that I tell a lot and why became a life coach and identity coach, is because I literally 5 years ago was saying, I don't know who I am anymore outside of being a mom. I feel like if I'm not bringing in income, then I don't know what my worth is. Literally asking God, like, what does He want from me? Because it didn't feel like anything that I was doing was working. I was trying to be the perfect mom, perfect wife, um, perfect everything, perfect homeschool mom, trying to do all the things and do them alone. That was the first mistake. But that's what I was doing. And getting really frustrated and really burnt out. And to be honest, that conversation and God reminding me that I was not doing any of the things that actually poured back into me anymore is how I started my own identity journey. At this point, I had, I think, all three kids. And it was just a lot. So my phone is leaning and it just is what it is. um, so I tell that story a lot because I can relate, to the mom who feels like she doesn't know who she is anymore and everybody is just taking over her life and her schedule and she's losing boundaries. Um, and any indication of who she used to be or who she was created to be is now gone because of how she's showing up for everybody else. So I've been there. And like I was saying, ironically, that was 5 years ago. So I was 30 actually. And I started, just sharing my story, writing in a blog. And, there's a whole story going from there leading up to today. But when I realized that, I was like, oh my gosh, now that I am 35, I feel like I am resetting again. I am getting back in touch again with this new version of Destiny, the entrepreneur, the homeschool mom, the wife, the Destiny. Who am I? What do I want out of life? What is God telling me that He has for me? And how am I going to make sure I don't stand in my own way and not receive the things that He has for me? So celebrating 35 is really just like a new season for me. It feels like a reset. It feels like getting back in touch with the woman I was created to be in the version that I now understand that I might not have seen or understood 5 years ago or even 1 year ago, honestly. So that's where we are. I have about maybe 5 minutes left of this makeup application. The rest of the reset challenge, I send out an email every Sunday, and every Sunday goes over the prompts and hi. And I give you a little bit more of my own personal story that you're not really getting on social media. So make sure that if you are joining the challenge, that you are either following me on Instagram or you are subscribed here, because every post that I do for the next 29 days will be related to this challenge. And I don't want you to miss out. But I'm also sending emails on Sunday to have a little bit more of a personal touch, and you get a guide. So there's like an image, and the weeks are mapped out on there as well. And you can put it on your screensaver, you can print it out. That way, it keeps us focused, it keeps us organized, and hopefully, will give you the motivation to actually take a few minutes for yourself each and every day. I know that we're all super busy, especially as moms, but you should be valued also. Your time should be valued also. Oh, thank you. Um, so yes, I would love for you all to join us. This is, like I said, just a challenge that I needed to do for myself to get back in touch with me, what I want in life. I actually wrote down, I don't think this is a part of the challenge, but I'll share it anyway. There was one day, a couple weeks ago, where I felt like God was leading me to write down what I actually want in full detail. I'll do a podcast episode about this this coming week as well. Full details, like if it's something as simple as how often I want my hair and nails done, all the way up until what my business dreams and goals are, what the vision is that He has given me for my business and for the moms that I'm called to. And it was like eye opening, because there were some moments where I wanted to write everything down, but there was a little bit of fear attached. Like, I don't know how that's going to work because it might cost too much. Or I don't really know if I'm going to have the help or the capacity to fulfill this. But I felt like He still wanted me to actually do it so that I could get it on paper. Even the Bible says, write the vision and make it plain. So if we just keep it inside and we never act on it, and we never do anything with it, and we never even write it down, then how can it become a reality? So that's where we're at. I'm honestly almost finished getting the lashes out. For those of you who do not know, I am also a trained makeup artist. I don't do it really anymore, but I'm still grateful for the skill because I have to do a lot on camera. And I am grateful that I know how to do it, and I don't have to hire somebody to like be with me all the time. Every single time I have to do something. Um, so yeah, I have a lot of hidden things, or not so hidden anymore, but talents and gifts that I have been blessed with that I'm looking forward to sharing with the world. I do not speak French. That's actually cool. One of my daughters wants to, though. I think wants to learn French. Um, yeah, guys. So again, reset challenge the whole month of May. Moms, if you know that you are called to more, you know that God has put a dream within you, and you just cannot seem to fathom how you're supposed to fit that in with the rest of your life. I encourage you to join us for this challenge because it starts with getting back in touch with you and reconnecting with who God made you originally. And then staying in touch, because that's literally what I do is I help women and moms specifically take those actionable steps towards what God has for us, and not just making excuses, not using our families as an excuse, but doing, what is needed so that we can get all that God has for us. Um, that's all I have, guys. I'm gonna drop the link to join us again. Make sure you are subscribed. We have a new episode of the Activate Your Destiny podcast that is released every single Wednesday. You do not want to miss it, especially if you are the mom that can relate to everything I was just saying. Um, that's what our episodes talk about. They talk about the activation, the steps that are needed, the common things that we are struggling with as women, as moms who are called to multiple assignments, including motherhood. Um, so, yeah, make sure you tap in day two, even if this is the only thing that you see related to this um, challenge. Day two's prompt, one more time, is to write down one word that describes how you want to show up this year. And then take a few minutes to imagine that version of yourself. What is she like? What does she do? How does she get there? And you'll be surprised once you break that all down, what that feels like to you might actually help you be a little bit more motivated to take a couple more steps. So I'm going to get off of here now, finish getting ready so I can go celebrate my birthday with my man. And yeah, I will talk to you guys later.